If you like using English to think deeply about life, emotions, and mindset, subscribe to this channel and stay close. It is a small click, but it keeps these reflections coming to you. Let us begin. Imagine you are holding a steering wheel. You are in a car. You are driving. Your hands are strong on the wheel. It feels like you are in control. But suddenly, the road is wet. Another driver does something stupid. A tire explodes. In 1 second, you understand something uncomfortable. You were never in control of everything. You were only influencing your direction. A big part of life is like this. We hold small steering wheels everywhere. In our relationships, in our work, in our health, in our plans, even in our learning. And we believe, or we hope, that if we try hard enough, we can control what happens. Today, I want to talk with you about the illusion of control. How trying to control everything creates more anxiety. How accepting what you cannot control can actually give you more power. And how this idea can change the way you study, work, love, and live. Let us start with a simple question. How much of your life do you really control? Not in theory. In reality. You did not choose where you were born. You did not choose your parents. You did not choose your early environment. You did not choose your basic personality tendencies. You also do not control the economy. You do not control other people's choices. You do not control traffic. You do not control the weather. You do not control how long you will live. But you do control some things. You control how you respond. You control what you practice. You control what you pay attention to. You control the habits you repeat. You control the stories you tell yourself. The problem is, most people are confused about the border between these two territories. They spend huge amounts of energy trying to control what is outside their hands, and they neglect what is actually their responsibility. This confusion creates a lot of suffering. Let us make this more concrete. Imagine someone who wants to get a new job. They apply to positions. They study. They send their resume. They practice interviews. Then they get rejected. This person might think, I failed. I am not good enough. The world is unfair. Maybe some of that is true, but there is another way to see it. They controlled their preparation. They controlled their effort. They controlled their attitude. They did not control the final decision. The illusion of control says, if I do everything right, I can guarantee the result. Reality says, if I do everything right, I can increase the probability of a good result, but I cannot guarantee it. That difference sounds small, but emotionally, it is huge. Because if you believe that effort equals guaranteed result, every negative outcome feels like proof that you are broken. You think, I did my best and it did not work, so my best is worthless. But if you understand that effort only increases probability, you can see rejection as part of the game, not as a personal curse. You can say, I did what I could. It did not work this time, but I am still on the path. The illusion of control makes you responsible for everything, even what is not yours. Healthy responsibility makes you responsible for your side only. Now let us talk about how the illusion of control appears in daily life, in relationships, in work, in health, in your learning, including English. First, relationships. Have you ever tried to make someone change? To make them treat you better? To make them love you more? To make them see things your way? How did that go? Maybe you tried to control their mood. You adjusted your words perfectly. You avoided conflict. Or you exploded to get a reaction. Inside, there was a belief. If I say the right words, if I behave in the right way, this person will finally give me what I need. Sometimes communication really helps, but there is a limit. You do not control another person's emotional history. You do not control their traumas, their fears, their defenses. You do not control their level of honesty with themselves. The illusion of control keeps you stuck in relationships where you think, if I just try a little harder, if I just become a little more perfect, everything will finally change. Reality is often simpler and more painful. You control how you behave. You control what you accept. You control your boundaries. You control whether you stay or leave. But you do not control how the other person uses their freedom. Understanding this is not cold. It is respecting reality. Second, work and career. Maybe you are a very responsible person. You work hard. You try to be fair. You care. And part of you believes that if you do everything right, your job will be stable, your boss will be fair, your path will be safe. Then a crisis comes. The company changes direction. A manager with power does not like you. A decision is made far away from you. Suddenly, your effort seems invisible. The illusion of control says, if I am good enough, life will protect me from injustice. Reality says, even if you are good, life can still be unfair. But your discipline and your skills give you more options to react. Again, the difference is subtle, but deep. If you believe that control is total, every unfair event feels like a personal humiliation. If you accept that control is partial, you still feel pain, but you also look for your next move. You can ask, what can I influence here? What is my responsibility, and what is not? Where am I trying to control the uncontrollable? Third, health. Health is another area where control and uncertainty dance together. You can take care of your body. You can move. You can eat in a way that supports you. You can sleep. You can do exams. But even so, things can happen. Genetics, accidents, invisible conditions. The illusion of control can show up in two ways here. The first is magical thinking. If I do everything perfectly, nothing bad will ever happen to me. This sounds positive, but it hides a dangerous side. Because when something bad happens, you might blame yourself completely. If I got sick, it is my fault. I did something wrong. I was not perfect enough. The second way is fatalism. If bad things can happen even when I try, then why try at all? So you give up on taking care of yourself because you cannot control everything. Reality is in the middle. You do not control all the variables, but you can dramatically influence your probability of health by your daily choices. You are not weak because you cannot control everything. You are human. Now let us bring this discussion to something close to you right now. Your English. Many learners try to control their progress in a way that is almost impossible. They think, if I choose the perfect course, the perfect method, the perfect teacher, I can guarantee fluency in a specific time. They get obsessed with tools. They search for the best app, the best book, the best technique. They believe that if they find the perfect strategy, they will never feel confused, never feel stuck, never feel frustrated. This is an illusion of control, because no method can erase the necessary discomfort of learning. You cannot control exactly how fast your brain will absorb structures. You cannot control every mistake you will make. You cannot control how other people will react to your accent. What you can control is your frequency of practice, your courage to speak, even imperfectly, your consistency in touching the language, your attitude when you do not understand something. Instead of trying to control the entire journey, you can control your step today. You can stop asking, which method guarantees fluency? And start asking, what am I doing consistently with the method I already have? The illusion of control makes you jump from strategy to strategy, always searching, never committing. Real influence comes from choosing a good enough path and walking it. Now you might be thinking, okay, I understand the illusion of control. But if I accept that I do not control many things, will I not become passive? Will I not become weak? This is an important question. Surrendering the illusion of control is not the same as surrendering your power. On the contrary, when you stop wasting energy on the impossible, you free energy for the possible. There is a concept that can help. Think of two circles. The outer circle is everything you care about. The inner circle is what you can actually influence directly today. Many people live with their attention glued to the outer circle. News, politics, the economy, other people's choices, random events. They talk, they complain, they worry. But their inner circle is weak. They do not sleep well. They do not organize their day. They do not practice. They do not communicate their needs clearly. The illusion of control lives in the outer circle. Real action lives in the inner circle. Moving your focus from the outer to the inner is not selfish. It is strategic. You cannot control the global economy, but you can learn a skill that makes you more useful in different contexts. You cannot control how everyone treats you, but you can learn to set boundaries, to say no, to leave situations that destroy you. You cannot control that English is sometimes difficult, but you can decide to listen for 10 minutes today and speak for 5. Now let us talk about anxiety. The illusion of control feeds anxiety like fuel. Because if you believe that you are responsible for controlling everything, every sign of uncertainty becomes a threat. You think, if I do not think about this problem all the time, something terrible will happen. If I do not worry enough, I am being irresponsible. If I do not check again and again, I will lose something. Your mind tries to control the future by thinking, as if thinking more could block all possible dangers. But in practice, this often creates paralysis. You think, think, think. You imagine scenarios. You rehearse conversations. You simulate disasters. And then you are exhausted. You do not act. One way to reduce this anxiety is to practice a simple distinction. You can ask yourself, is this a problem of action or a problem of acceptance? If it is a problem of action, then you ask, what is one concrete step I can take today? Send an email. Ask a question. Study something. Organize something. Clarify something. If it is a problem of acceptance, you ask, what do I need to feel rather than fix? Maybe you need to feel sadness. Maybe you need to feel uncertainty. Maybe you need to feel disappointment. These emotions do not need to be solved. They need to be experienced and moved through. The illusion of control says, if I feel this, I will lose control. Reality says, if I allow myself to feel, my system can process the experience and I can move forward. Accepting what you cannot control is not passive. It is an active gesture of honesty. Now you might say, this sounds beautiful, but in my culture, in my family, in my life, I always learned that I must control everything, that I must be responsible for everyone, that if something goes wrong, it is my fault. Maybe you grew up taking care of other people's emotions, trying to make parents happy, trying to avoid conflict, trying to be perfect. The illusion of control can be a survival strategy in some environments. If a child believes, if I behave perfectly, my parents will not fight, they might try to control their behavior constantly. It is tragic, but logical. The problem is when this child becomes an adult and continues to believe that they are responsible for everything. They try to fix everyone. They try to anticipate every problem. They feel guilty for other people's choices. One of the deepest acts of growth is to slowly return responsibility to where it belongs. You can say inside yourself, I am responsible for my choices. You are responsible for yours. This does not mean you do not care. It means you respect the reality that you are one human, not the engineer of the universe. Let us bring this discussion back to something simple. Today, in your normal day, where do you see the illusion of control? Maybe in how many times you check your phone to see if someone replied. Maybe in how you replay conversations in your head, trying to imagine how the other person interpreted every word. Maybe in how you hold tension in your body, as if tight shoulders could prevent bad things from happening. You cannot change this pattern in one day, but you can begin to notice it. And every time you notice, you can ask, is this mine to control, or is this mine to respond to? Control tries to dominate outcomes. Response focuses on your next step. You cannot control whether people like you. You can respond by being honest and kind. You cannot control whether a plan will work. You can respond by preparing, testing, and adjusting. You cannot control the exact path of your English journey. You can respond by showing up today, even if you feel insecure. To close, I want to offer you a small experiment. For the next few days, when you feel anxious about something, do this. First, write down what you are worrying about. Second, divide a page into 2 columns. On the left, write things I cannot control. On the right, write things I can influence or do. Be brutally honest. In the cannot control side, put other people's emotions, final decisions, the past, the global situation. In the can influence side, put your preparation, your communication, your learning, your self-care. Then choose one action from the can influence side and do it. After that, give yourself permission to stop mentally fighting the cannot control side, at least for a while. You will probably need to repeat this many times. You are training a new habit of mind. Instead of living in the illusion that you are the manager of everything, you become a responsible actor in your part of the stage. The illusion of control promises safety, but it gives you tension, guilt, and exhaustion. Letting go of this illusion feels scary at first, like taking your hands off a fake steering wheel. But what you receive in exchange is more clarity, more focus, and more peace. You stop trying to be the author of the whole story. You become a conscious co-author of your chapter. You accept that there are things above you, around you, beyond you. And inside that reality, you still have a powerful space of choice. How you think, how you speak, how you treat people. how you treat yourself, how you use your time. You do not control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You do not control the ocean, but you can learn how to navigate. You do not control the entire journey, but you can choose again and again how you travel. That is where your real power lives. Thank you for watching.